I've just uploaded my 100th YouTube video. So I wanted to celebrate by doing something a little bit crazy. So today I want to share with you the secret about the magic settings that make all photographs look fantastic. They don't exist. See, I'm a part of several photography forums and Facebook groups, etc. And groups like that are fantastic because you'll have some people who will post up technical difficulties that they're having, issues with their camera. You'll have some people who are after buying advice, wanting to know what a good lens is for particular situations. Or you'll have people who will post photos up either just to show off the work that they're doing or seeking constructive criticism so that they can then improve their photography. And that's all great. At the end of the day, we're a photography community. You should help each other out. But there's a couple of kinds of posts that I forever see from people that just bug the hell out of me. I've got no issues with people asking buying advice. It makes perfect sense. You're looking at buying a piece of equipment, you will ask, have you used this? What is your thoughts and opinions? Do you think it's a good thing to buy? Or is there maybe a better alternative on the market? But you get some people that'll just say, what's the best lens for me to buy? Like there's some magic all-in-one lens that does absolutely everything perfectly. It doesn't exist. Lenses are always a trade-off between either focal length or aperture or image quality or price. And depending on what you want to shoot and how much you want to spend is going to determine what options you have available to you. Now, some of those you can kind of forgive a little bit because generally they've just not thought that far ahead. But once you break down in conversation and say, what do you want the lens for? How much do you want to spend? You can kind of get a bit of a better idea as to what sort of thing is best going to suit them. The other kind of post that bugs me, however, is generally a reply to people's photographs. So somebody posts a very nice photograph that they've taken, and inherently half the time somebody will put a comment up saying, what settings did you use for this? Asking somebody what settings they've used for a photograph is an absolute waste of time. It would be more productive trying to talk a vegan into eating meat. Firstly, there's no guarantee that the settings they even used were the settings that they ideally would have wanted to have used. So maybe if they could go back and redo that photograph, they would have actually used different settings than the ones you're asking them about. The second reason why asking settings is completely pointless is because environments are constantly changing. No two environments are ever the same. So even if you see a nice photograph that somebody's taken and you go to the same spot to take the exact same picture, odds are the lighting that you encounter is going to be different than the lighting that the other photographer encountered, and so the settings that you use will probably be different. For example, go outside and take a picture on a cloudless day and then go out on a heavily overcast day and take the same picture, and you'll see there's several stops worth of difference in light. Then times of day will also affect as well. So unless you are standing right next to the photographer when you take the picture, odds are the amount of ambient light is going to be different from your photo to theirs. So the settings that they used won't actually apply to the photo that you're taking. Thirdly, even if you are standing next to the person when they're taking the picture, using the same settings won't necessarily produce the same results because you might be using different equipment. And I don't just mean the camera bodies. You could use the same camera body, but odds are you would be using a different lens. Just because you're shooting on paper at the same focal length doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the same looking picture. For example, my 28mm f2 produces a wider field of view than my Tamron 28-75 at 28mm. Then you've got light transmission. Yes, they might be shooting at the same aperture values, but that doesn't mean that the amount of light that's actually getting through to your camera is going to be the same, so your settings are still going to be slightly different. You can't even use the settings argument in a controlled lighting environment such as a studio, because studios still have a degree of ambient light, although granted, that won't make a huge amount of difference. But you've still then got the problem of what lights are they using, what power levels are they using, what diffusers are they using, and where have they positioned the lights. Because all lighting comes in different power levels, so 100% power on one flash might not be the same as 100% power on a different flash. Any type of light diffuser is going to play a factor, whether you're using shoot-through brollies or reflective brollies or softboxes. The size of those diffusers are going to vary as well. And then even if you got them all the same, you've still then got the issue of The lights need to be in exactly the same place, otherwise you get different kinds of fall off. But then even if you're standing side by side with the photographer, using the same camera and the same lens and the same settings and the same lighting, you're still only going to wind up with the same raw file as what the photographer's got. But a raw file is not a finished image. You still have to post-process it. And the way we all post-process images is completely individual. There's so many people these days that are selling presets for their look, and the truth is, it doesn't work like that. Presets are not a one-click fix. They might get a very good-looking image, but every image is individual, so the way you will edit it is going to be different. I personally treat every single image that I edit as its own individual project. So I like to start with a clean, untouched raw file, and I will edit every single one in its own unique way to get the look that I am after. Sure, the settings that I change are still going to be the same. The blacks, the whites, the highlights, the shadows, the contrast, the clarity, the vibrance, the saturation, the hue, the luminance. I will probably change all of them in every single photograph, but the amount that I change each one by is going to vary from picture to picture. So I don't just want to drop a preset on every single image and get them looking exactly the same, because it's then going to cloud my judgment as to whether that is the best approach for that particular image or not. So if you're somebody who looks at an image and wonders what settings the photographer used, you're wasting your time. Because realistically, even if the same photographer went back to the same site at the same day, they would probably use different settings because the lighting will have changed. A smarter question would be, did they use any additional accessories in taking the picture, such as filters or lighting of any kind? Or what steps did they take in the post-processing? Because that is generally where an image is made or lost. Rant over. That's it for this video. What are your opinions on the matter? Leave your thoughts and comments in the box down below. Thank you so much for stopping by, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.